Welcome to the first episode of Fix It with Phil. I'm Phil. I've been wanting to do this. I've had this idea to do a YouTube channel like this for a long time. And I think it was my sister who actually came up with the name, but I just have put it off for a long time. But I have a project that I'm working on. I thought this is a perfect time to start this channel. So we're going to go through this repair and you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. And anyway, thanks for joining in. So this is the patient right here. It's an exercise bike I've had for, I don't know, maybe 15 years. I bought it for my wife. I brought it down into my gym here, and anyway, it's probably been several months that it hasn't worked. And I'm going to show you what the problem is. Hopefully this will be able to see this. But anyway, I took the covers off of the bottom. So let me sit down here and show you what is going on. Okay. So I'm going to put my feet on the pedals here. So you can see it's working. It knows that I'm pedaling, but you see this here is this resistance, okay? If I push this number up, you'll see the number goes to 2, 3, 4, and it'll go all the way up to 12, okay? But the problem is, nothing's happening. No resistance is changing, okay? And then you can also go back down. And you can set it to whatever. Anyway, I really like this bike, but we got to figure out what's going on and why the resistance isn't working. And anyway, we're gonna see what's going on. So if you look down here, the way this works is this is actually, this wheel here is what increases tension, okay? And sorry about this. Trying to be cameraman and repairman at the same time, it's not easy, but anyway. So this cable, there's a little motor here, I guess, that as you increase it, it pulls this cable, pulls this little shoe closer to that this wheel, and I'm not sure exactly how that works. There's no wires on this thing, but these have to be either magnets or something that increase the tension on here the closer it gets. Anyway, the problem is this isn't moving. So we got to take this off and see if that's the problem. Maybe that's what would need to be replaced, but let's dive into it. So I'm gonna remove this and I'm gonna get on my bench and then we'll come back. Okay, so I have the motor, this piece removed, that pulls that cable. I also took, it takes 4D batteries. I took the batteries out because I need a voltage source to check this thing. Anyway, I'm gonna take this apart, see what kind of motor we got in there. I don't know if it's stripped. I mean, I didn't hear anything when I pushed that, so I don't think, it could be fried. We're just gonna find out. But let me open it up and see what's inside, and we're gonna come back in a sec. Okay, I got it opened up. There were just 4 screws that held this in. Now let's just see here. I'm gonna have to put this down a second, and we're gonna pull that motor out, and we're gonna have to check that motor, see if it works. Okay, so I need a 6-volt power source. So I just took the 4D batteries, taped them positive and negative in series, And then I taped on these alligator clip testers. And then I took a little piece of Cat 6 cable wire and I just stuck that Cat 6 cable wire into each end. So now I have 6 volts that I can check this battery with. And I don't know how I'm going to do this and hold the camera. So I may need to get a cameraman. So hold on while I get a cameraman. All right, I got a cameraman. So you can see there's a blue and yellow wire going to this motor. And if you look at this connector, there's a blue wire and a yellow wire, the first two on this side. So I'm going to put 6 volts on here. It's DC right now. It's not going to matter much which direction I go. I'm just going to touch these two. And as you see, motor works. So that's not the problem. I'm going to put this back together and we're going to figure some things out. So the problem, though, is not here, obviously. All right. Be right back. Okay, so I got this back together and I see how this all works. So this is 6 volt DC. So if the polarity is one direction, it turns one direction, as you can see. And if I switch polarity, it goes the other way. Okay. So the problem we have here is that you're not getting 6 volts down to this motor from the board. And I bet that the problem is that there's some contactor on the board that's shot or something on it. I don't know exactly. But all we need to do is get 6 volts into, 6 volts in one direction to increase the tension, and then change the polarity. And what I need is if I had a momentary switch that I could do that with. And I think I know what I'm going to do. Okay, I got an idea. What I need to do is I need to install a momentary switch or two, maybe two, but just cut the wires from the board and just do it manually, and that'll fix this thing. So we have to get a momentary switch now for this. Okay, we'll be back. So I have to do a shout out to my brother John, who is a electrical engineer extraordinaire, and he went on Amazon and got me these double pole, double throw momentary switches. I actually only need one, but the pack came with 6. So what a momentary switch is it doesn't lock in position. You just push it and it makes contact and then it springs back. You see that? And then this one, it actually goes in both directions. So double pole, double throw just means that there's basically 2 sets of contacts in here that you can use. And if you see, there's 6 on here. So what that means is the middle 2 are common to both sides. So I need my cameraman again, but he's off doing other things. But basically, let me put this here. When you switch this up, it connects the contacts, the 2 on the bottom. You know what? I'll get a continuity tester and hopefully I can put this camera or my camera somewhere that you can see this. So hold on. Okay, so this is how the switch works. You see, I have it set on continuity. So basically, that means whenever I touch these 2 leads together, I'm getting a beep, right? So if I switch this, oh, hold on, don't. Okay, if I switch this up, first you can see that makes contact on these two. Now if I switch it over here, okay, oh, I can't touch yet. All right, if I put these two there and I go this direction, it connects these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of these 6 volts positive, the other one's 6 volt negative, and then I'll have 2 leads going down to these 2 wires, the blue and the yellow, right? So that will, if I switch in one direction, it's going to have, the blue one will be positive 6 volts and the yellow will be negative, and this will spin one direction. I'll have to figure out which way this is spinning so I have this oriented right. But, and if I, and then if I switch it the other direction, I'll have 2 other leads that are reversed going to here. So what that means is if I want to increase, I'll set this up so if I want to increase tension, I move this up, it makes that motor turn the direction that increases tension. And it's just going to, that's why I have a momentary switch, because I just want it to bump it. I want this to move just a little bit, because remember, I think, I don't know how, it's not a long distance that has to move. That cable is probably only moving 1.5 inches. So this isn't moving very far for each increment. So I just want to bump it up until I until I increase the tension where I like it. And then I'm going to bump it down when I want to decrease the tension. Just like that. And it's just going to make this turn. And I'm going to bypass that board and do it manually. So right now I'm going to solder some leads on here. I'm gonna maybe I'll set it up on the bench first or something so you can see how it works, because but actually I'm gonna have to install this on the panel up on top, and I'm gonna cut the wires there and tie it in all there, and I'll have to show you what I'm doing, but that's how this is gonna work. So the good thing is these switches are like $10 for 6. It's not a lot of money. And this will just, I'll make a hole. This will screw into that panel that I was using before. And then I will screw on one of these to hold it in place. And that'll be my increase, decrease tension right there with that switch. So I'll come back to it in a minute, or probably a little while. So it's been several days, actually, since I've done this. Got late that night and haven't been able to get back to it till now, which is a few days later. But anyway, I have that switch installed, and I have, if you can see that red wire will be 6 volt positive, the black wire here, that'll be 6 volt negative. And then what I did is I used yellow and orange, and that's, so I'll show you when I wire this exactly what I'm doing. But what I'm going to do now is I have these soldered in. I'm going to put a little hot melt glue on each terminal. I'm also going to put a little hot melt glue around that switch so it can't move. And anyway, I will come back when I show you that, but I just wanted to show you the switch installed, and I'm just gonna, you can see it's on the panel. So what I did here is, my first thought was I had some switches that I was going to use that didn't work, and that's why I got this other switch. But I had drilled holes for 3/8 holes, and I was going to use 2, but I changed my mind, and my brother got me a better switch. So that's why I have a washer just over that one hole, and this is where the other hole is. And I got a washer there too, because this is actually this switch uses a 1/4 inch hole, and the holes I had were 3/8. So anyway, it worked out fine. But I'm gonna put some hot melt on here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done with that. So I just got done doing some soldering. I'm just going to show you. This is my soldering iron, which is so old. I don't even remember where I got it. I've had this for so many years. Probably found it somewhere, who knows. And then this is the solder I'm using here. Just rosin core solder. I've had that for another thing. I probably bought it Radio Shack so many years ago. And I'm going to show you what I did over here. So you can see I just put a wad of hot melt glue down on this switch to keep the wires kind of in place. I know it's kind of a mess, but it'll work. And then this is the black wire going to the battery lead here. That's -6 volts. And then I have the red wire there going to the battery lead, which is +6 volts. And if you look here, I have, I hope you can see this, the 2 yellow wires I soldered to, this is the connector that goes down to the, that motor assembly and everything. Well, just the whole wire, the wire cluster that goes down into the bike. And what I did was I actually added hot melt glue here because I didn't want these wires pulling out, which one of these did. So that's why I kind of went back and did it. When I was taking the wires out, I yanked one of these out of the connector. So I shoved it back in, made sure it was still working, had continuity on it. Anyway, so I soldered, if you look at this switch, well, you can't see it now, you probably saw it before, but one side of this switch, I put a yellow wire on each side, and on the other one I put an orange wire on each side, so that when it switches, it'll change the polarity of that. One time this will be, you know, because that's that motor, wherever it is. Hold on. This motor, if you remember, I'm sure you remember, but it's been days for me. So with one side 6 volt positive, it spins one direction, and then in reverse polarity, it spins the other direction. So on this switch, the way I set it up is, if I switch it one way, it's going to connect red to one yellow and one orange. That'll have the polarity one direction. If I switch it the other way, it's just going to switch it. So they're both going down to this connector, which will go down to that motor. And what I'm going to do now is I have, this is shrink tubing. I'm going to slide this back over and shrink it. I know this is the first video I put out, and I know this sucks. I'm going to be able to, in the future, I have to be able to set this up so you can see what I'm doing real time. And I apologize for that. I'll show you maybe I'll try to heat one of these up. Hold on a second. So I have got an assistant acting as cameraman, so you can see this real time, at least one thing. So this is heat tubing. I'm sliding it over these solder points here. Let me get this one back here. And I want to show you how this works. It's good stuff. That's one. And that's two. I'm going to it's not heat tubing, it's shrink tubing, sorry. But you heat it, it shrinks around the wire there and makes a nice tight joint, nice fit, protects it from shorts or whatever. So that's it. And now I'm going to kind of bundle this down in here so it is out of the way. I have some, hold on a minute, let me go over here. I'll show you what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to take this, see here, and I'm going to put a zip tie on here. Keep it together. here. I'm going to get a few more. I'll show you when I get back. I'm just going to zip tie this to here, and maybe, actually it's a little tight, but that's fine. Zip tie it around here, or probably electrical tape it here. Anyway, I'll be back. So I just tied everything up with zip ties here, here, and here. Tie these together, and I just taped this here. And now I'm going to put this back together. Uh-oh, small problem. When I was soldering this, I pulled this one off. I got to fix that. I got to re-solder that back on here. I don't even use that. This is for 6-volt power supply, 6-volt DC power supply I can plug in, which I don't even have. I mean, I could get one, but I'm still going to put this back on there. I don't want a loose wire, so let me fix that, put this back together, and we're going to go over the bike, and I'm going to show you over there what I'm doing. Okay. So I have the monitor back installed, and that's the switch we put in. If I move the pedal now, you'll see that it's going to kind of start up the process. But basically, I'm going to show you now. We go down to this tension motor. That's the tension motor. If I push this switch up, that motor is pulling that shoe closer and increasing tension. Okay. If I go down, it's decreasing tension. And that's all I wanted to do. So at least that part of this bike is working again, which is great because I really like this bike. And all I really use it for is to kind of warm up my legs before a leg workout. And you know, I like it. It's a good bike. And this repair was basically $10 for the switches, and I have more switches. If this switch ever goes, I can replace it. I got more. So the only drawback with this is as long as you hit that switch, that motor is going to turn. So and also it's going to turn anytime. It doesn't shut off. That switch always has power to it. But for my use, it's fine with me, and I will just you know, increase the tension when I need to, and generally I run this thing almost from like the highest tension, 10 to 12 is what the numbers were on here, and that still works. You can still, actually it won't go up unless I turn this. Hold on. If I start moving this, then I can show you how it goes up to 12 and stops, but now there's not going to be a stop on it. So anyway, well, forgive me for my lousy camera work. This is my first video. Hopefully they'll improve, and I appreciate you sticking around, but we're going to call this done. I just got to put the covers back on it, but this bike, for my purposes, is working. So thanks for following along with Fix It with Phil. Take care.